I'm really a serial entrepreneur. I've owned over 25 different businesses. I just recently wrote a book on in-home sales. It's right here. It's called When Can You Do It? Tell me what your symptoms are. We'll figure out what the problem is, what's causing that symptom, and then we'll come up with the solution. So symptom, problem, solution is the better way to sell. I used to be more money driven, and I realized, you know what? I don't worry about money anymore. What I do is I worry about doing things correctly. $500,000 the first year, and I did $6 million the second year.
That's still great.
With a $1,000 investment. Next thing I know, we're going nationwide. I'm up in Utah doing some solar shows and all over the entire country.
All right, welcome to episode 12 of Expanding Local. Today I'm here with Tom Decker, who is the CEO of Attic Depot, which is a leading wholesaler, provider of solar attic fans for homeowners and business owners across Texas. He's also the author of When Can You Do It? And that is one of the top books in in-home sales. And there's a million other things about Tom that make him very special and intelligent in the home service space. But Tom, thank you for joining.
Oh, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So could you give a brief introduction that'll probably be better than the one I just gave, and then explain how you got to where you are now with Attic Depot and just kind of being a big name in the home service industry?
Yeah, perfect. So I actually started off, I was in the remodeling business, kind of did home improvements, and then I switched over to doing efficiency kind of projects, insulation company. So I did insulation and ventilation. And we were selling so many solar attic fans. I started this in 2007, and by 2012, we're selling like 2,000, 2,500 solar fans a year, which was like unheard of at the time. It was like, how do you sell so many fans? I'm like, what do you mean it's easy? We have a system, and once you put a system together, everything's kind of easy. So we have a sales system, and we kind of grew that business, and it really started expanding. And I'm like, you know what? Everybody keeps running out of product on me, so we're going to create our own products, and I'm going to be my own manufacturer, and I'm going to distribute to myself, to my other company, is what I was thinking. Well, so I do that, and then other people in Houston, my competitors, start saying, hey, can we buy some of your products? Your stuff's awesome. And I'm like, well, yeah, I guess so. Okay, so I wasn't good. Now I'm not just wholesaling myself. So that's when I started the Attic Depot, and that started in 2015. And then in 2018, I said I'm going to get completely out of the retail because I feel like I'm trying to go work on both sides of the fence, and I'm only going to sell to contractors. And the one thing that makes Attic Depot different than other companies, other wholesale companies, is we don't sell to homeowners. And we only sell to contractors, and we don't put any pricing or anything online. So it's only for contractors. It helps protect their margins, and then we make them an authorized dealer so that they're the best in the business. So we can train them on the installs, how to sell them, and we really help them. And we make them part of our Attic Depot family. So that's kind of how I got that started. So we started doing that in Houston, and then next thing I know, we're going nationwide. I'm up in Utah doing some solar shows and all over the entire country. And then Florida has some windstorm ratings that you have to have for solar ventilation. We want to move into Florida, so I got what we call a TAS 100, some wind-driven rain testing. We got Florida windstorm certified rated, and then Texas has it, but it's only like in Galveston County, just on the coast, a couple counties in Texas. So we have that now as well on our fans. So that's how we became more of a national brand. And then to this day, we have thousands of contractors that buy from us, and we really do. I've got some that we started, in 2015, started buying from me. They still buy, to this day, they still buy from us, and they will never buy product from somebody else because you taught us so much and you treat us so good, and we have lifetime warranties. To me, really the best product and the best service, and I always say it's not even close. I mean, I can't sleep at night. If I have a customer that I know something didn't go right, it's like, man, that's not going to happen again. Like something got messed up in shipping or something like that. So I'm like, really take it serious. I'm really a serial entrepreneur. I've owned over 25 different businesses. I just recently wrote a book on in-home sales. It's right here. It's called When Can You Do It? That's available on Amazon. It's a great book. It's kind of an introduction. I'm actually writing another book. And then I started doing sales training, and that's that's my big passion, is teaching other people how to sell, not just our products, all kinds of products. I help some companies, and they don't even carry our products. I have another training platform that we're working with them on, and we train their salespeople how to be better, and sometimes we'll double, triple, quadruple their closing rates. Even if they're kind of good, we can still double or triple those closing rates and ticket averages, so make them so much better. So that's what I'm really moving towards in the future. Keep Attic Depot. I'm going to do this till I can't go anymore. So hopefully I can do this for another 20 years or so, but we'll see. And that's kind of my background. So super excited about sales, and then actually making homeowners' homes more efficient, more comfortable through our distribution authorized dealer network.
Gotcha. And so you chose to sell only to contractors, you kind of mentioned like there's risk with margins with selling to like homeowners and whatnot. Um, and then you're
Right.
also training contractors how to sell to homeowners. Which one do you think is harder, and how does the process differ between each?
Uh, so it's harder to, it's easy for us to just tell to contractors. It's easy for me to get new customers once they see what we're doing. And then now we've been doing this for quite a while. So every day we get new customers, just kind of from like our old customers, referrals and things. I don't like to hang my hat just on referrals because I like to, like, how do we really drive the business? So we do a lot of different marketing and things. We'll do trade shows and we do some Facebook stuff, and I'm always kind of out there doing podcasts like this and just kind of trying to help other people. And I find, so I actually got my wristband on here. It says always be helping. I don't know if you can see that. I wear it every day. So that Attic Depot, that's what we do here. And that's just my main thing is always be helping. So if we're helping people and they're winning and I'm winning and their customers are winning, then the whole thing keeps getting better and better. So that, to me, that's pretty easy because we can kind of control that a little bit. On the sales side, trying to get the salespeople from other companies to sell more, once they're on board, they're kind of easy to coach. The biggest thing that we'll see is if we say we do a big live event, we'll see their sales numbers go from, say, 30% closing rate to like 80 or 90%, like almost immediately. The challenge is keeping it there. Because what happens is they start getting lazy and they start kind of coming back down. And then we got to re-energize them again, do a little more training. So that's why I put some stuff together to make it more ongoing training, so that we don't have that downward spiral, because it spikes up quick and they're like, let's keep you there. It's not that. So I'm gonna start doing like weekly webinars where once a week they can all get on there and as kind of a community, and I'll do like a quick presentation. We'll talk about a few things, maybe some objections that they're having a hard time getting over. But I always say it's more about the presentation. You shouldn't have a lot of objections. So I think that's the harder part, a little more, I wouldn't say hard, but more challenging than the Attic Depot side. Attic Depot, to me, that's pretty easy. We've got that dialed in so good, and we can kind of control a lot of the moving parts. Where on the sales, it's like they have to go kind of do some of the work. I'll show them how to do it, but they have to go do, I say, the heavy lifting. So that's kind of the differences in those two.
So you mentioned a big jump in closing rate. What are the main causes of that, and what are you able to change in these different like business owners, salespeople, that causes that spike?
There's a lot of things. So people, they'll see me, I'll go out and do like a live event, or I'll be like at a homeowner's house and we'll record it. And they're like, how do you have the answer for everything? So that's my new book that I'm working on. And it's really, the book is going to be like how to sell anything to anyone. So there's a whole bunch of rules to that. But basically what happens is a lot of times salespeople can go a lot of things. They could kind of skip over a presentation. They don't ask enough discovery questions. So they're not really having a conversation to figure out what the customer really wants. Once you get them to want what you have so bad that they can taste it, they're going to move forward, they're going to buy. So I always say in sales, there's two things that have to happen. You have to get the customer to want your goods and sales so bad that they just have to have it. And then we just have to eliminate all their other options where they could get that same product or service. And once we do those two things, then the closing rate will just jump through the roof. It's pretty easy if you have all these rules in your mind, and that's why we do the trainings and things, so they can kind of dial it in. Make sure there's no confusion. Make sure you have some excitement, some enthusiasm. I tell them, if you're not excited, how's the homeowner going to get excited to write you a $10,000 check? Like, you're not even excited. Get a little more excited. Eliminate the confusion. Be a true expert in your field. Like, nobody should know more about your goods and services than you do. So a whole bunch of things, 25, 30 things that we really teach on, and we really dive into each one of those and really make sure they're really an expert at each of those kind of categories, and then they can't miss after that.
How can contractors deal with a homeowner who is like shopping for bids, like just getting a bunch of bids from multiple contractors? Is that fixable?
Yeah. Yes. So here again, if you're the authority, so when I walk in, if I'm selling something, I'm going to be an authority in whatever we're selling, and that customer is going to be like, say they're sitting at the table. This is all, I'm like, honey, I hope we can afford this because I really want to use this company. I really like, say it's me. I really like Tom. I want to work with him. I don't care if it's a little bit more. That's what you have to do. If you just go in there just trying to weigh apples to apples, give them a price over the phone then. That's it. I mean, to me, you got to separate yourself. So what I say is you need to look like a 10 and your competition needs to look like a dud. The bigger that spread is, the more money, the bigger their budget gets, and the more money they'll spend with you. So pretty simple.
So how do you position yourself as an authority in a homeowner's home?
Presentation. Have an amazing presentation. Do what you say you're going to do. So when we set the lead up, if we say we're going to call you the night before, make sure we're still on point. We're going to call you 30 minutes ahead or an hour ahead when we're on our way. Make sure you do it. So already when you do that, and now when we get to the customer's house, like this is the third time the salesperson's talked to that homeowner. Now we're friends already. We're already off on the right foot. If you skip this stuff and we're banging on the door, you might as well be door knocking. Because you've never introduced yourself. Now you're trying to introduce yourself, become the expert, have a great presentation, get their guard down. You're trying to do a lot of things in 30 to 60 seconds at the front door. It's like you could have already done some of this legwork ahead of time. So we get the guard down. And now when we get to their house, they welcome us into their house. So that's why you do it that way. And then you have an amazing presentation. That's the key. And we help contractors and companies build an amazing presentation with discovery questions and then a little bit of product knowledge before we even look at the project. That's kind of the key. There's some really key points here, and we'll help you kind of create all of that stuff.
So when you say presentation, is that like an actual like slide on a screen, or is it more so communication verbally? What does that look like?
Both. So we have a presentation that we would do either like in a 12-page kind of brochure, 16-page, 8-page, depending on what the products and services that the companies are offering. And then we also could also have that like in a digital format. So that if they're doing like a tablet or something, I like kind of like the printed material, especially when you look at our demographics. If we're selling to 20 to 30-year-olds, then a tablet, something's kind of fine. They're kind of used to that. If we're selling to 50, 60-year-olds, then we go to like a brochure where we can guide them through it. And that works better for them. So I like to kind of have that flexibility of going either way, depending on the target audience. And typically, depending on what it is, we kind of know what our target audience is, and that can be determined by the products and services. It can be determined by where we're doing our marketing. So if we're marketing, like say on AM talk radio, we do I do a lot of like 1-hour radio shows. If we're doing that, we're going to have a little older demographic. But if we're like more maybe on Facebook or something, we might get a younger demographic. So then we'll know how to kind of structure the sales process for them.
How can like contractors or sales reps go too far in the sales process? Like, can you push too much to where it makes like the client uncomfortable? Like, where's that boundary at?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's a key. So when we're going through a presentation and we've gone through the pricing and we've gone through everything, and the customer, we feel like, they say, hey, I want to talk to my spouse. I'm like, fine, if you have any questions. And I've got 3 or 4 ways, I won't get into that now, but 3 or 4 ways to overcome that objection. But at the end of the day, if my presentation was amazing and I came across as a true expert, and I'm even close in the ballpark on pricing, I might even be the highest every time, but I'm not 10,000, everybody else is 1,000. I mean, you know what I mean? We're kind of in the ballpark. Go ahead, talk to your wife. If you have any questions, let me know. I mean, it's simple. I don't do that. Now, I will say, to be honest, we don't have to have your job. So if you want to go a different direction, please go ahead. I'm still here to help though. So if you decided to want to go a different direction, and you decide they came out and you had some questions about what they were doing, or if they've done the job, like I'm still here to help you. And that's why I wear my always be helping. Give me a call. I'll walk you through it. You know, we're still friends. It's not a problem. We have plenty of business. Now, don't get me wrong. I would love to do your job, but we don't have to do it. So if you want to go a different direction, I completely understand. I don't want to make it awkward. I don't want to make an enemy out of you. And they will literally just about reach over the table and they're like, no, I just wanted to talk to my wife. We're going to use you. It's $10,000. I want to just talk to my wife tonight, sleep on it. I'm 99% there. We're good to go. Like, I just want to talk to her, just courtesy. And I'm like, I understand. I got it. I've been married for 30 years, and I'm the same way. Like, we'll just sleep on it. I'll call you back tomorrow. We'll get it all set up, and then we're good to go. You don't have to panic. A lot of salespeople, what they'll start doing is like, well, what if I could lower the price? What if I could throw this in? And they start doing this dance, and they lose all credibility. You don't want to do that. You don't need to do that.
Are there any just like absolute lost causes when it comes to homeowners? Like, are there any signs of a homeowner that it's like, this is not going to happen, we're not going to close on this?
So the biggest thing that I can see that I've had this happen is when I walk into the house and they're like, well, I've had this project done, this one, and this one, and all the contractors were terrible. I'm like, all of them are terrible. Are you sure it's not? I'm thinking it's not you. So sometimes then we got to start really vetting the customer down. Once in a while, and this is what I say, if you do not want to get the job, like sometimes you get your spidey senses are up, you're like, oh, this is going to be nothing but a nightmare. Email them over a quote. This way you can sleep on it. Email them over a quote, mark it way up so you don't get it. And if you do get it, then you can make sure, hey, everything's dialed in. Now, if you just like absolutely, I've had like 2 customers in my whole career that I just I'm not doing work for these people. It's so bad. There's so many red flags here, like let's walk away. So then I'm like, I'll just tell them, I've told them before, it's like, I don't think we're the right fit for it, for what you're looking for. I can give you a couple of recommendations for a couple of companies that maybe are a better fit for what you're looking for. Like, say they got a real, in their mind, really intricate project, even though I know this is something simple. I'm like, maybe this is a little bit outside of our scope of work. Here, I'll give you a couple of minutes. I could just give them a couple random phone numbers of a couple of competitors or whatever and let them deal with it. It's like, I'm not moving forward with that. Because what happens is sometimes, like when I was doing my installation company, we would do like 12 to 16 jobs a day, 2 to 3 jobs per truck, and we're just going and blowing like that. And I can't have one truck get stuck at some customer's house for 3 days because we can't make this guy happy or this lady happy. Like, we better off just passing. So if you have an 80% closing rate, like, you're amazing, you can pass on a few things. The people that get themselves in trouble is the ones that they don't have a great system, a great closing rate, and they're like, I have to get everything I could possibly get. And those are the ones that will sabotage themselves with those kind of customers that you just absolutely don't want. So yeah, there are some red flags, yeah, big time.
Before you mentioned, not like some of the mistakes that sales reps and other people are making is not really like communicating with them before they end up knocking on that customer's home or potential customer's home. What are some mistakes when they're inside the house and like in the door communicating with them? Like, how can they?
Number one, not listening to what the customer is telling you. They will tell you what their problems or their symptoms are. So I always talk about this. We talk about, tell me what your symptoms are. We'll figure out what the problem is, what's causing that symptom, and then we'll come up with the solution. So symptom, problem, solution is the better way to sell. What they want to do is they want to start going there and tell you how they do things without listening to the customer. So you want to kind of think about that. So it's just like if I was going to say, sell a gym membership. So if you came to me and maybe I do some virtual training over the internet, let's say, and you said, hey, Tom, I'm coming to you. I know you're a good trainer and I want you to help me get in better shape, or I want you to train. Tell me a little bit about how you operate. And I can start throwing up on you and saying, well, this is how I do the program, and this is what we're going to do, and I tell you 10 or 15, 20 different things. And then if there's one thing in there that you don't really like, then you won't move forward. So instead of doing that, what I will do is I'll say, okay, well, when was the last time you worked out? And then you can tell me, and I'm like, okay, well, why did you stop if you were working out? And then you'll tell me, because of this. And I'm like, okay. And then like, was it more of an eating thing? You need help with nutrition? And I'll just start asking lots of questions. And then I'll always have the solution for you because I know exactly what you're looking for. And I'll figure out why you quit doing it the last time, what your true goals are. And then I can craft a whole program that's crafted for you. And I guarantee the success. So I'm going to start, what are you really looking to do? It's like, well, I'm going to get, so I'm 6'3", and right now I weigh like 200 pounds. Like, I really tell my wife, like, I'd like to be like 220. Like, I like to be a little bit bigger, but still in really good shape. I don't want to get too bulky, kind of thing. So I would ask, I'd be looking at that. What is your physique? Maybe physique, I'll show you some pictures. You want to look like this? Like, where are we going with this? And we'll really just dial it in with the customer. And when we do that, it makes the sales process actually fun and very easy. And sales are just about having a really great conversation with your customer. That's all it is. Have a better conversation. Some people aren't very good at having conversations and they don't listen. So just like here, if you were asking me questions and I started just going off and just talking about what I want to talk about, then it wouldn't be very good. Like, nobody would want to listen to these podcasts. So you got great questions, and that's the idea. And then same thing with the homeowner. They have great questions. So I really specialize in in-home sales. That's my thing for all kinds of companies. I've done over 15,000 in-home estimates sitting at a dining room table with the customer with over a 90% closing rate. So wow. I can close it. But basically, it's all in my presentation. It's not that I'm the world's best closer. I don't claim to be the best closer in overcoming objections. I feel like I have the best presentation skills to get the customer to want what I have. And I listen to them. And then I just work with them, and they buy almost every time. It's kind of laughable how easy it really can be when you do it right.
So you're good at this. You have really good numbers. What about training other people to do what you do? What does that process look like? And is it always possible to train like reps and whatnot?
Pretty much, yes. If they want to learn. Now I do better if it's like I say, a roofing company, and I want to train a salesperson, it's a solar company, we want to train a salesperson, versus like if it's an HVAC company, and they got technicians that go out and they get called out to do like a repair, and then we're going to make them a salesperson. Now, I've had some really good luck with those technicians that were more sales minded, not just fix problem minded. So not so much technician minded, but a little more sales minded. And I've had really good luck. If I've had some great technicians that really want to be good at sales, it works awesome. So I always tell people, hey, if you got a bunch of technicians and they don't want to sell, it's hard for me to make them an all-star. I can definitely always make them better. So sometimes they're like, if you can make them 10% better, we would love you. And I'm like, oh, I can do that. That's easy. That's not a problem. I'm just talking about if they're only closing 25%, you want me to take them to 80, and they have more of a technician mindset, then that might be a little tough. But I could probably get them to 50 pretty easy. And like, well, what's that look like? Well, that's worth $2 million a year. Like, yeah, let's do it. And I'm like, but just that kind of mindset. So it's kind of on the people that we're training, their kind of mindset. But most of them have lots of room for improvement. And I've had people that literally, the owner of the company sent them to me for some training. And they're like, I don't even know why I'm here. And I'm like, well, because they've maybe been doing it for 20 years. Like, well, it's a 2-day class. Let's just sit down. We'll go through everything, say one of our classes, and we'll kind of go from there. And at the end, they will literally come up. I've had this happen numerous times. You know what? I learned more in 2 days than I think I've learned in 20 years. And they're hugging me out the door. It's unbelievable. And at first we were like, oh, they're like, I don't need any help. Because I put it in layman's terms, and I just help them. Like, I don't get offended about anything. So, like, you can tell me anything, and I tell them, like, tell me anything. I'm not going to get offended about it. Let's just make you better. Because I know there's always room for improvement for everybody. We can improve anybody.
So you mentioned it kind of depends on mindset when it comes to training technician sales. Is there any difference between a company that you're training that has techs on some sort of incentivization structure for pay if they close bigger jobs and whatnot, and then the ones that are just paid hourly, if they sell a bigger job, it has no difference on the amount of money they take home?
Yeah, you have to incentivize, always incentivize everything. So I'm not super money driven because I do pretty well, and I used to be more money driven, and I realized, you know what, I don't worry about money anymore. What I do is I worry about doing things correctly. And in my presentation, and when we're doing this and building this with them, we'll make the presentation so good that when they stick to that, the numbers just come. So don't worry about your closing rate. Worry about just getting this done right. So just like if we were, say, a basketball player, and we're like, hey, you know what? If I go out and practice 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, at some point, I'm going to be a pretty darn good basketball player. So we put in the work, and especially we've got coaches and things that are going to help you. So it usually works out pretty strong.
Do you have any recommendation for structuring incentives for like techs or salespeople?
One of the big things I would say is we always want to incentivize them, but I would say if we're going to add, like, let's incentivize them to sell the products and services that really we want to do, that we make money on. I see sometimes they'll put like a 5% commission on across the board. And that could be fine. It may be easier for some people's bookkeeping and things. But then other times, I'm like, but how much do you make on some of these products? Well, margins are pretty weak. We only make like 15, 20%. And I'm like, then why are we trying to sell that item when we can sell this item over here and you got a 75% margin? Like you get paid when we sell this $5,000 item at a 75% margin. Let's incentivize them to move this product versus something that's just maybe a core product you really don't sell much. So what I would say is if we're selling, well, like say we're selling solar attic fans and roofs. Okay, so we got a roofing company, and this is what I instruct roofing companies to do. So if you're out, customer calls you and they need a roof, they think they need a roof, maybe they had some hail damage, or maybe they just want to replace the roof. Talk about the ventilation, because that's going to separate you from your competition and make them want the ventilation so bad that they have to go with you because nobody else is talking about ventilation. And you're the expert, so then they'll buy from you pretty much every time. So that's the way I kind of structure that. But as far as incentives, always incentivize pretty much everybody. The more they're incentivized, the more they're willing to do. And we don't want people just, even here at the Depot, I incentivize everybody, but there's, a lot of them are making decent money, and they're like, I'm good with what I'm making, but they still want to do better. And really what it is at the end of the day, the biggest thing is they don't want to disappoint me. That is the biggest thing. So it all starts at the leadership. I mean, I've had people reach out for training and stuff, and I'm like, the leadership is so poor here, and we're on such different pages. Like, it's not going to work for me to train your people, because what's going to happen is they're going to come back, and then you're going to like, no, it's my way. It's got to be my way, because I know better than Tom, even though he's trained thousands of people to be successful. My way works best, and like, no, your way might work good for you, but my way works really good for just about everybody, because it's more system oriented. And more, it's not just, some people are really good at like just going in and schmoozing and throwing a deal together, and they can do that, but it's not real duplicatable to have a whole team. I can train the whole team to do a system, and that's what we do, and that's what really works.
So there's a lot of home service business like categories or industries, and then
Yeah.
underneath each of those industries, there's a ton of different services that they can offer and provide. What are the hardest services to sell?
So people buy what they want a lot of times, not necessarily what they really need. So sometimes it's actually harder to sell them the stuff that they really need because they don't really want it. So you got to kind of put things in perspective. So like solar attic fans are kind of easy to sell because there's a lot of benefits. So your house is more comfortable, you lowers your energy bills, your roof can last longer, HVAC system can last longer. There's a 30% federal energy tax credit. But to sell that, even with all of those things, you still really have to be an expert, because most homeowners don't understand ventilation. They don't understand attic ventilation and attic temperatures. So that's where you have to be a little bit more of an expert and go in there. And once they understand that you know what you're talking about, then they'll take your advice. Versus I think some things that may be just more of a commodity. Say you're selling just roofs, and we just do everything like everybody else does. I always say when I'm interviewing people, say, what is one thing you can tell me about your company that not one other competitor in your market can say? Like, what is it? And they're like, oh, we're a family-owned business. We're super friendly. We do what we say we're going to do. I'm like, that's what everybody else said. I'm like, I need a real tangible. So, for example, Attic Depot. We only sell to contractors. We don't sell to homeowners. We don't post pricing online. We are the only solar attic fan manufacturer that doesn't post pricing online and sell straight to consumer, to help protect your margins. And we make you an authorized dealer, and we train you so that the customer knows, hey, when they get an Attic Depot product installed in their home, they've got a great product and it's getting installed correctly. So nobody else can say that. Now, we do free shipping, lifetime warranty. So other people can say, well, we'll do free shipping. We'll give you a good warranty or something. So, but the big thing is we don't sell to that. And then I think the biggest thing that we really hang our hat on, and nobody does, some people try, is like we do this world-class sales training. And I've got some people like, well, the rep from this other company said they would come out. I'm like, yeah, that's a sales rep. I'm like, you're getting me the CEO, and I've done this 15,000 times. And I help customers and contractors all over the whole country do this, and there's nothing better. And like, when you come and see it, you'll be like, you'll agree. And they're like, oh my God, I can see that. So that's kind of the thing you want to do, is say some things about your company. And I always tell people, like, hey, and sometimes we'll take a break. I'm like, okay, we're going to take a 15-minute break. During the break, if you want to maybe jot down a couple things, then we'll go around the room and we'll kind of try to figure that. Or if we're doing like a webinar or something like this, like, think about what that could be, because that's going to really what you're going to build your brand around. That's what you need to do. So yes, so some things are easier to sell because some things don't have a lot of extra benefits. Like insulation has 30% tax credit, does make your house more efficient, does make it more comfortable. But here again, that's out of sight, out of mind. You'll never see it again. So it's a little harder. We're like maybe like a really pretty granite countertops and stuff. To me, that's kind of easy to sell because you can just show them the samples, talk about the edging and how you're going to do everything. Before I'll leave you with this on this topic is, you really want to stress the kind of more, not just the product, but how it's installed and how our guys are factory trained and they're the best in the business, and we do ongoing training. And this is it's not just like service. Like I talk about like painting companies, like anybody could take 2 gallons of paint. They could be the exact same 2 gallons of paint. You give one guy that's a master painter that same gallon, and you give somebody else that's just a handyman and really doesn't know how to paint, and we have them paint some kitchen cabinets. One of them is going to look gorgeous. The other one is going to be like, what happened to my cabinets? So that's really the difference. So when you explain it to the customer, it's not just about, it's never apples to apples. You have to differentiate yourself from your competitors.
So you're kind of going into unique selling propositions. Do you have a system or process to like generate those? And are there any home service businesses who are just the same as everyone else and like don't have anything that makes them unique?
Yeah, some of them don't seem to have, they all do have something unique, but we have to kind of help them find it. So that's usually when we'll just ask them discovery questions. We'll kind of look at what they're doing, look at their marketing, and figure out what they could do a little bit different. So like my thing is to always be helping, and we're really more service oriented. Like I call our solar attic fans, like if I'm doing training, like that's a widget. Like you can get a widget anywhere. Like, but what do we do with it? So it's really going to be more, I think, kind of the training and figuring out what discovery questions, like what do you really want to sell and what direction are you taking the company? So kind of figuring that out, like where are we going with this and where do you see yourself in a year, 3 years, 5 years? So then we can kind of build towards that. So your unique selling proposition today may not be what you really want it to be in a year or two because you see your business evolving and maybe you're not quite there. You may have this grand vision of doing something really amazing for your or for your homeowners, but you're just not quite there yet. So sometimes, depending on the scale of the company, we might start off small. I mean, I started off literally with my insulation company. You're gonna love this, $1,000 van and a machine I rented from Home Depot. I did $500 million, or $500,000, I wish I did $500,000 the first year, and I did $6 million the second year.
That's still great.
With a $1,000 investment. So
Yeah.
some people are like, I need all this money. I'm like, no, you don't. You don't need a lot of money. You need this up here. You need a little bit of some mentoring. My dad's always been an entrepreneur. He's amazing. I mean, he's good at sales. He taught me a lot of sales stuff, and I just kind of took what he did. I took the baton and kept running with it. So hopefully, maybe my son, he's 22. He doesn't seem as involved in sales, but he's really good at selling. Like when he was a kid, we'd go do Cub Scouts and sell popcorn and stuff door to door. And he was an animal. He was like always selling more than everybody. I'm like, so you got it in your bloodline, so we'll see what he does. But you know, you kind of keep building on it, and that's why I like doing the training, because I can take people that have never done sales, we train them, and now they're a master seller. Oh, almost over. I mean, just in a couple weeks, maybe a 2 to 3 month period of time, watching some videos, coming to an event, jumping on some Zoom calls, that kind of stuff, and just getting them better and better. So it really depends on where they're at, what they're trying to do, where they want to go, where they see themselves in a few years, and is sales really right for them? And to me, I love sales. I wouldn't do anything different than sales are awesome. I mean, to me, it's a wide open market. AI can't really replace you. You can't, people's personalities talk more. I would say that about salespeople, talk more, because a lot of times they don't talk enough. Let the customer talk, but if we're just sitting there, we're not saying nothing, and they're not saying nothing, we're just kind of got a dead conversation, and that's ugly. That's not good.
So when it comes to leveraging a unique selling proposition in a potential customer's home, let's say you've identified 3 and you know which one is your strongest. Would you rather have a sales rep say 3 different unique selling propositions 3 different times, or hit on the same one 3 times in that interaction, if that makes sense?
So I like to call it, I'll say, I'm gonna spitball a few options with the customer, but we're gonna come up with one solution together. And the reason we say this, and the reason I come up with that solution together, because I want it to be kind of their idea, but I'm going to guide them to the right idea. And the reason we do that in sales is because what I say is the customer will say no to you all day long, but they won't say no to themselves. So if they feel like they built this product or service and they're on board with it and we've crafted it together, by the time we're all done, we have one option, and then that's the one we're going with. If we leave them with like 3 different options, 3 different kind of ways to do something, then they're all confused. They don't know what to do. And then I tell people, like, if you do that and then somebody like me comes along and we get it into one option and I'm an expert, there's no confusion, and I got them all excited, I got the sale, and you'll call them back and they're like, oh, I already had that done. This guy Tom came out here and he sold me. I mean, their guys are installing it right now. So that's the thing. We got to get them on one board. If you leave too many options, I use the Cheesecake Factory analogy. You go there and they got like a 30-page menu. And there's hundreds and hundreds of items. People can't decide what to even order. And it's kind of funny because it's like, I would think almost all their food, I always say, it kind of tastes the same a little bit. I mean, it's like, it's all good. I go there all the time. I love it. And I always get a piece of cheesecake. But it's, you got to narrow it down with them. If you just give them a brochure, I've had it where, like, I walk into a customer's house, like, okay, let me see what you're doing. And they have their brochure. They'll just literally hand it to the customer and say, hey, I'm going to go look at the project. If you have any questions about what we do, let me know when I come back. I'm like, no. We sit them down first. We go through all this with them. You build the whole thing with them. It's much more easy process to do that. Now, sometimes I always say 60 to 90 minutes in a customer's house. Like, I'd like to spend a little more time in the customer's house. Now, if I'm recommending say it's a window company, I've trained some window companies, and I'm like, you're going to spend a couple hours with the customer, and we're really going to need to break down like how the window, we're going to lean more to how it's installed than how about the window, because really all those windows are about the same. So we got to explain all this, and when we're all done, we're going to have a great solution for that customer. And I nearly had about 100, because I sold windows for quite a while, almost 100% closing rate. To me, windows were like the easiest thing. And I get people coming to me, like I sell windows, I only close like 10 or 15%. And I'm like, you're not doing it right. You're just not doing it right. You're not wowing the customer at all. You're so caught up in your window, you're not even listening to the customer. You're just throwing up on them, and that's not the way to do it. So we'll go through a whole process. Same thing, presentation, discovery questions, the whole thing. Give them some recommendations, show them some tax, energy savings over time, some tax credits, all that stuff. Put it all together for them so they got a clear and concise visual of where we're going with this, and then they're ready to move forward. That's pretty much it. Earlier
you mentioned wants versus needs, and I feel like that's a very powerful thing. I know when I want something and might not need it, like I need it.
You feel like you kind of need it, then you're like, do I really need it, or do I just want it? Most stuff we just kind of want. We don't necessarily, if you think about what we really need, everybody has way more than we need, but we just want it.
Yeah.
You know.
So if someone's set on a want, you have what they need, which is not what they want. What kind of guiding questions can you ask them to get them to the conclusion that maybe what they want isn't what they need? Yeah, so you kind of figure out what they're going to use it for. So, I mean, if I would say, let's just say we're selling cars, for example, and they want the Ferrari. Well, why do you want the Ferrari? Like, why? And it's usually because, status, and it's going to be more like that, or it's super fast. And I'm like, yeah, but we live here in Houston. How many times are we really going to drive this super fast? And I'm not saying don't buy the Ferrari. We're going to just narrow it down with them. And then, like, what I do like going down to Home Depot every weekend and getting some plants and some shrubs and, doing stuff around the house. So do you want to buy maybe I'll sell them a Ferrari and a pickup truck. I mean, we got to kind of figure it out. And it's really just about having a conversation and really making sense of it with the customer. Some people have a really hard time making sense of it. I mean, so I told you earlier, I've been married for 30 years, and I've sat down with a husband and wife that own a company, and we'll be going through questions like this. And they're kind of bickering, and they're not even seeing eye to eye, and they're like, do you do like marriage counseling? I mean, I've had this happen at least a dozen times, and I'm like, no. But the thing is, like, if you have a good conversation about everything, and then you need to really look out for the other person more than your own needs, and if they do the same, you'll be married forever. But everybody puts their own needs first, so the salesperson puts their need before the homeowner or the customer. Put the customer needs first and make it work for you. So I always say, reverse engineer your sales process, reverse engineer your business from the customer's point of view. And if we do that, then we'll almost always make the sale because we looked out for them first, and we'll figure out how we make it work on our end, which we can almost always do. So that's just a different way it's always about a mindset kind of thing, I think, and then just drilling down and figuring out with the customer, really just having a great conversation. But having the right questions, and that's something we do in some of the training. I do a lot of like evaluations, evaluating your needs. So I have these forms that they'll fill out, like message delivery. So I'm really big on message delivery. And like, rate yourself from 1 to 10 on message delivery. Rate yourself from 1 to 10 on organization. Rate yourself from 1 to 10 on being an expert in what you sell. Like, and I have all these different things. So then we can kind of figure out what they need to work on. And you would be surprised how many people will give, like on message delivery, they'll put themselves a 10. And the people that I have like in a classroom, a lot of times I'm like, I know the people that have the worst message delivery in here are going to give themselves a 10. It almost always happens. And I'm like, so then I'm like, well, first of all, nobody gets a 10 because that means there's no room for improvement. Nobody's that good. And then they'll start scratching all their 10s out, and they'll put a 9 next to it. And I'm like, your message delivery needs some work. And I'll show them some things on message delivery. We talk about it. I'm like, oh, man, I think you're right. But they, in their own mind, so some people aren't really realistic with themselves. Like, know where you're at. I think my message delivery is pretty good, and I'm like, I'll give myself a 6 on message delivery. Like, are you kidding? Your message delivery is fantastic. And I'm like, yeah, but I could get better. And if you think I'm a 6, then what do you think you are? You thought you were a 10, but now what do you think you are? Now that I gave myself a 6, I'm about a 2 or a 3. I'm like, okay, so now we know where we need to work. It's easy. What role does ethics play in sales? Is it something you ever really worry about, or do you really not need to worry about that? Because I feel like if salespeople are confident in their product, they know they have the solution, there's really no need to really consider that. But I'm curious to get your opinion on that. Yeah, so ethics. So yeah, I'm not going to sell something to somebody they just absolutely don't need.
But most of the time, they kind of do need it, and I'll be kind of realistic with them. And I'm like, you thought this was going to be, for example, it's going to be a 4-year payback, and realistically, it's probably going to be more like, say, 6, for example. Maybe it was some insulation or something. But that's fine if you're but I just want you to be clear and concise on that. But you are going to have the house is going to be more comfortable day one. Your air conditioning system is going to run less, so you're going to get all that extra benefit. And I'll just kind of start pointing out the other benefits. So I always say, in sales, put everything in the best light possible. But I don't lie about anything. I will never tell a salesperson, well, just lie to the customer. Whatever you got to do. Some people will teach that, and that's not going to be in my sales training. Shove it down their throats, make them choke on it. I don't care. We want the sales. You don't need to do that because you know what? People want to buy. They hate to be sold to, but they would love to buy from you. So we just make it that way, and we find out the right solution. And if we just absolutely don't have the right solution for the customer, then they're not going to be happy at the end of the day. Why would we sell it to them? We're going to get a bad review, which is going to kill us, and we got an upset customer. They're obviously not going to give us any referrals. I mean, I've gone to customers' houses, like, to be honest, after I've been there for an hour, hour and a half, I'm like, I've looked at everything. You're actually in really good shape. Now, if you just wanted to tweak a couple things, now what I would find is that some salespeople do that, and the customer is really not. They didn't see some things. And I'm like, did you not see this, this, and this? Oh, I didn't really think about that. So say you went to working on an air conditioner. You're an HVAC technician. You go to a house, and the customer calls for their annual checkup, for example. And everything looks good. You're good. You don't need anything. I'm like, coils don't need cleaned. There's no hard start on the air conditioner, the compressor outside. There's no float switch on there. Maybe there's, did you ask him about indoor air quality? Does anybody in the house have any allergies or asthma? Like, there's no really filtration system on here besides a little 1-inch little pleated filter. You could have sold them a whole, I used to sell a $2,800 like a air filtration thing that went on it. I sold them on the radio. I would literally sell these over the radio. People would call, I want to get that. And they need one for both air conditioners. Sometimes they had 3 of them. I'd go be like a $9,000 sale, and I'd sell it really just over the phone. And they're like, people are like, how are you doing that? And I'm like, because I'm just asking a few questions. Like, I have one guy, his father-in-law had emphysema, and he was getting ready to move in with them. And he's like, I really want the air quality to be as good as it can be. And I really didn't even know a lot about air quality. But I gave him some stories. People love stories. And I just put it in the best light possible. And like, let's do them. So, but a lot of times what salespeople will do is like, no, they're good. It's all good. Like, so say if you brought your car into the dealership to get the oil changed. If I was a salesman, I'd be walking over to the service department and like, hey, that car's 3 years old. We actually got a new model of that. So say it was a BMW X5. And you got the 3 or 4-year-old one. It's like, oh, we had a new model year came out, and they made some pretty cool changes. Is there anything about your BMW that you don't like? And you'd be like, well, I don't really like it doesn't have a touch screen. It's like you got to use this knob and stuff. My wife had an Audi, it was like that. And it's like, well, the new one's actually, it's all touch screen now. And they start showing you're like, oh, I might be interested in this. And like, is your car paid off? And then we just start asking some questions. And the next thing you know, they just leave the car sitting there, and then they drive off in their new car. So maybe they didn't need a new car, but they want it now because I showed them all the new benefits, and then they can see their path forward. Or maybe they just get some miles on it, or maybe they just had a baby and they need something a little bit bigger. Like, let's just talk to them. You never know, but you got to ask. To me, it's all about questions. The more questions you can ask, the better, and that's how sales kind of works.
How did you get so good at sales?
Forced to do it. I guess I needed to eat, and I think my son. My son's 22. In 2002, I actually owned a pool hall, big billiard place in Houston. And my wife got pregnant. Now, we had been married for 8 years. We're going to have a son, so this is great. And I'm like, I'm working till 2 in the morning. But it really did make me good with people. I did that for 8 years. So I'm dealing with people. They're just out here to have a nice time, but some of them are getting drunk. You know how it gets like in a bar kind of scenario. And then we had about 15 employees, and like just kind of working with everybody. So it gave me, really good with people. But then I got into the remodeling business, and that was kind of easy because that was like order taking. And then I got into the installation business because I really wanted to focus on something and really be a true expert at something, not just like home remodeling. You can't be an expert at everything you can do in a house. So I started doing the installation, and literally the first 4 or 5 houses I go to, all I had was a business card. And I didn't know what I was doing. No presentation, nothing. And I'm like, I'm not getting a lot of yeses. I think I sold maybe 1 or 2 out of 5 or 6. It's like, okay, 20%, 25, and everybody's like, oh, you're doing great. That's kind of the national average. And I'm like, I don't want to be average. Like when I had my pool hall and other businesses, I was never average. I always wanted to excel. So like, I think I need to put like a presentation together more, and I started coming up with stuff, and that's why I said that first year I did $500,000, and next year we did $6 million. It's because of the sales processes, and then we were closing more deals, so now I could spend more money on lead generation, and that's what I tell people. It's like, don't just hoard up all the money, take the extra money, put it back in marketing, and then blow your business up, huge, quick. So, and I got this, so sitting down and doing like 15,000 estimates at home with customers, sitting at their dining room tables, I was doing like 30 leads a week, usually it's almost 7 days a week for most of the year. I mean, I worked almost every day, and then I started training my own people at my company, and then I started training other companies, because they were reaching out to me, like, can you show us how you're doing this? And then I started going out with other salespeople, and I did this all over the country. And the first thing, you're gonna love this. So Will, I would get there, I fly in, I got my bag, and I'm ready to go show them, and they're like, well, Tom, you don't really understand our market. This is not gonna be as easy as you think it's gonna be. They're always telling me, it's all about price here. And I go like this, shh, just stop talking, stop talking. I'm like, you know what, I've been doing this all over the country. I hear this everywhere I go. I'm like, we're gonna fix this. Like, this is not gonna be a problem. Relax, just relax. Let's just go have a nice day. And if we're just gonna make the customer's day a little bit better by us being there, and then just watch, like I'm like, here, hold my beer, like watch this. But I'm not salesy. When I come into a customer's house, they don't feel like they're being sold. I tell them I'm not really a salesperson. Think of me more as a consultant. I'm just here to help. If you want to go a different direction, like I said earlier, then that's fine. But let me kind of show you a couple things. Let's talk this through and see if we can come up with a great solution for you. And they're like, that's what I'm looking for. So they finally found what they were looking for, and they buy every time. So that's how I got good at it. It's just really practice. I probably read 150 sales books. I've been to sales training, other people's sales training, and that's how I started doing like some of the sales training. It's like I started seeing what everybody else was doing, and I'm like, it's not that good. I mean, I'm saying like I'm sorry, it's just not that good. I don't tell them that. I just tell other people, and I'm like, and they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, they've overcomplicated this, and then they're training these salespeople, and every time they leave, because I've had people that have gone to other trainings and they come to mine, and they're like, this is unbelievable. I can actually go use all of this information that you're giving me. You think you can kind of see how I'm talking? It's like, it's pretty easy to kind of get like this, and it's easy to sell the homeowner. So you just basically give them what they want in a structured manner so that you can, you're still profitable. I'm not giving the store away. I'm usually the most expensive, like if we're selling a product or service. Not in my sales training, I think I'm pretty reasonable on that. I try to make it work for everybody. And once they see the benefits to it, then it's easy to get them to move forward. And I'm not like, there's all these guys online and they sell training and stuff, and it's $30,000, $40,000 a year. They sign you up, they got some big name, and then you go get all the training, and like, this isn't very good. But you're on the hook for 40 grand. I'm like, I don't do it that way. I'm like, if we're doing something month to month and you don't like it, I'm like, just stop doing it. Like, I'm not going to come chasing you for your money. If it's not working for you, I don't deserve to get paid. That's how I look at things. I really don't. Just like if somebody here at the Attic Depot, they order some fans and we don't ship them to them. Should I be expecting to get paid? No. Like, that's not right. Same thing. I want to get paid if I can produce. So I've done some other deals where I'll do like, don't pay me anything if you don't want to do that, but I want 5% of your profits, in the additional profits that you're going to make moving forward. They're like, that could be millions. I'm like, well, yeah, if you want me to take all the risk, I want a big reward. Or you can pay me for my subscription and we can pay to do the training, and then you can have all that. It's up to you, whichever way you want to go. I'm good either way. So you give them some options, and usually what they'll do is they'll usually just paying you because they don't want to get involved in it. And I really don't want to do it that way either, because I don't want to get into your books and all that. I just want to go help you. I want to do the fun part, the part that I really like doing.
So you are a master of your craft in a very, what most would consider like very difficult, challenging industry of sales. How do you continue to improve? Is there a such thing as a ceiling when it comes to sales? Like, is there always room for improvement with where you're at your level? How do you see that, and how does that work?
Yeah, there's always room for improvement, and I think because markets change, people's mentality kind of changes depending on the political culture, economies, different things that are always changing. You have to be kind of adapting. But if you really just keep listening to your customers, you'll just get better. Like, really listen to them and listen to help them. Not just listen to give them some answer. Listen and really see what's going on. And then, like I said, I got really good when I start training other people, because then I can really see it. And that's really like, it's like so magical when I actually see somebody, or we do a lot of role playing. I'm like, show me your sales presentation. And I'm like, It's not bad, but there's 4 or 5 things here that you're missing, and this is why your strategy's not working for you. You can kind of sabotage it. So actually, I do one of my trainings, and I just did this. It was the first time I ever did it. So I talk about we have a system and all this, but then I changed it. Still have that, but I called it a recipe. So think of it as a recipe. And up on the screen comes a recipe for cooking chocolate chip cookies. And I've got this whole recipe, all the tools you're going to need, the mixer, and everything you would need, the cookie sheets, what temperature to put the oven on, and all the ingredients, and how to mix it all, make these awesome cookies. Okay, so the recipe comes from like Emeril Lagasse. I'm like, okay, these are going to be great cookies. I mean, he's one of the best chefs in the world. How bad could these cookies be, right? Okay, so that's what I do. So I follow the recipe to the T, and I get to the end, and it's 350 degrees for 8 to 10 minutes on the cookies, and I'm like, no, that's not hot enough. Like, you can't cook. You got to cook them. That's not going to work. So put the oven on 500 degrees, and I'm like, I'm going to do it for 20 minutes. So that's what I do, and I cook these cookies, and of course they're all burnt. They're terrible. And then I said, you know what? So my point of this is, it's like I follow the recipe to the T, and I changed one thing, and I destroyed it. And this is what people do in sales. So they always say, I want to put my touch on it. I'm like, what happened? Well, I want to put my own special touch on it. I'm like, why? If you'll follow this, you're going to close around 80%. Is that not good enough? Well, that's awesome, but I really want to put my own touch on it. I'm like, you can put your own personality on that. I'm not telling you to do it, but don't change the systems, and then you'll be fine. But that's where they kind of get in trouble. So then that's this practice, and then sometimes I've had to have people and literally live train them 2 or 3 times, and then the third time like that, they're like, that's it, I'm doing it, I'm not changing anything. I've learned my lessons. Like, I'm just going to do what you're telling me to do, and then they go do it, and they're like, you're right, this is fantastic. Like, well, there you go. So it's, not that I have everything, but if you'll just follow that, like the recipe, you're going to have some pretty good, darn good chocolate chip cookies. Unless you start changing stuff, you can ruin it. And it was funny, because when I just did this in one of these trainings, and guy sitting in the front row, he says, well, what if I wanted to change the recipe a little bit? I couldn't believe he told me this. In front of the whole group, I'm like, well, this is the whole point of this lesson that I'm getting ready to show you. And that's when I brought out the burnt cookies. I'm like, I thought the same thing. I thought I could change something. And look what happened to me. Totally sabotaged myself. Everybody was laughing, and then I bring out some delicious gourmet cookies. Like, this is when I follow the recipe to the T. Enjoy your cookies. They're like, oh my gosh, these are awesome. I'm like, there you go. So sometimes I like to put things in perspective kind of for people like that.
Do you use that in sales?
Yes. Yeah, always I'm really big on analogies and put things in perspective for customers. Always give an analogy. Like if I'm talking about solar attic fans, I talk about like passive airflow versus active. So passive is basically just a hole in the roof, let some heat out. It's not mechanically driven. So I equate that to like a sailboat. So basically you got a sailboat, it's just sitting out in the water, you're not going anywhere. There's no wind. Mechanical driven, like my solar attic fans that we sell, they're mechanically driven. And it's going to pull air through your soffit vents. When it needs to come on, it's going to flush that heat out of the attic space. So it's like a power boat, like a motor boat. So if you want to go 50 miles an hour, give it a little gas, shoo, away you go. So I do that with pretty much everything to help put things in perspective for the customer. So they can visualize, paint them a picture. And another thing I'll do is like, hey, let me paint you a picture. And I'll go like this. And I'll frame it. And I'll put them, this is what the other company does. That's one way to do it. And then this is how we do it. And there's such a huge difference. But they could never see themselves going with the other competitor. But you have to kind of do these things, and that's part of all of our different trainings that we do, so they can kind of see these things.
So you mentioned using an analogy to kind of like push someone forward in the training, and then also using it for, when you're in a in-home sales confrontation or with a customer. Are the same principles that you use in sales in like a customer's home, are they the same ones you use like when you're trying to convince an employee to change a certain behavior, or like talk with your spouse and try to move past something and I don't want to say get your way, but like get the end outcome? Are all the same principles used just throughout your entire life?
Yes, yeah, definitely. So I always say, like, so a lot of these things that I talk about, like, practice these in your normal life, not when you're just doing sales. So what I don't want you to do is when you get to the customer's house, have to flip a switch on, and then you have to remember all of these principles. If you're practicing these principles all the time, like me, I'm never going to lie. But sometimes I might have to tell you something, or tell my wife, or tell the customer something that they may not want to hear, but they will respect you for that, and then we can move forward from that position. If everything's built based on a lie, we can't build relationships on that. We can't build sales structures. We can't build our sales process, anything around a lie. We can't kid ourselves. So you got to be really realistic with yourself. And I like Tony Robbins. I listen to him a lot. And he had one thing I really took away from this, and I think it was great. So a couple years ago, back to this is to my wife. So we're having an argument at work. She works with me. And it's like, man, what's going on? And she's like, well, you're always yelling at me. She says this at work. And I'm like, what? I'm like, let's just not talk about it now. It's 3 o'clock or something. I'm going to take you to, let's go to dinner tonight. Take you somewhere nice. Let's just go to dinner, think about where you want to go to dinner. We'll talk about it later. Let's just get through the rest of the day. Okay, it's fair enough. That sounds, okay, you're right. Let's do that. So we get to dinner, and I'm like, okay, so I'm talking to her, and I'm like, what do you mean I'm always yelling at you? I'm like, I don't yell at you. And she's like, yeah, you do. Sometimes you'll be yelling at me. And I'm like, you mean getting excited? And she's like, yeah. And then she's kind of realizing that's just me, and I will never yell. I've never yelled at her, like in any kind of a mean tone. But I do get excited about, I mean, that's just me. I get excited. And I'm like, I'll never cuss at you. I'll never say something to you that I could never take back. I'm like, this is why we've been married for 30 years. And I said, I seen this the other day. Tony Robbins says, if you're going to blame somebody for all of the bad things they do, make sure you blame them for all the good. And I think what you're going to see is there's a little bit of bad, and there's all this great stuff that they do. And I went through all the stuff that I feel like I do really well. Support the family, never missed a meal, never cheated on you, never cussed at you, never, of course, never would hit her, always looking out for her. And I says, now, what I'm going to do is, like, if you'll do that for me and just kind of blame me for all the good that I do as well, I'll do the same thing for you, because you're not perfect either. And she's my wife, Danny, she's very, very reasonable. So she gets it. So if I say things like that to her, she's like, you know, you're right. I'm not perfect, but I do try my best. And I'm like, so do I. We're on the same page. We're both looking out for each other. So if you blame me for the bad, make sure you blame me for all the good. I'll do the same for you. That was about three and a half years ago. We have not had one argument. I have not had to get excited at all about anything, because we just stay on the same page. And we do the same thing with homeowners, customers, employees. Like my employees, they love me. I've got some here that have worked for me for over 10 years, even from other companies that came here to this company with me, to the Attic Depot, to the training. Like, they're not going anywhere because they love the culture. And I get people literally come here to beg to want to work here because they love our company culture. And then once you have that with your company, with the brand, say you're a plumbing company, and all the plumbers in your market, they want to come work for you. Well, now you can charge higher rates to your customers, because you know your employees are going to take care of that customer. So I would say customers are super important, but I think the employees are even more important. You know what I mean? So I had that happen with Justin here at the Attic Depot, and over 10 years, he's amazing. Everybody loves him. He gets a customer. One day, there's a customer, a new guy, and I met him at a trade show, and this guy, he was kind of rude. He was very rude at the show, very condescending, just a really negative kind of person. He's telling me all about this. I'm like, okay, he must have bought some fans or whatever. So he calls Justin one day, and Justin's like, okay, let me send you over and fill out the vendor form. We got to sign you up as a vendor, make sure you're actually a contractor, because we don't sell to homeowners. Then I can give you the pricing, and then we can move forward. We can get you some training and all that. The guy, so he's giving Justin a hard time. He doesn't fill it out, doesn't do anything. Then he calls back to the office and talks to Steven, the other guy that works here that takes orders. And he says, Justin's not a very good salesperson. He should just be taking the orders. Like, basically, this guy's going to tell us how to run the business. And then so Justin says, what should I do? Should I call him back and like just talk to him? And Justin's super, super nice. I'm super nice, but I do hold my ground pretty good. And I'm like, Justin, you can call him. And this is what I told him. I said, you can call him and tell him piss off. Exactly what I told him. If you don't feel like, if we can't get on the same page, that was about 6 months ago with that customer. He's one of our best customers today. Because he realized, hey, he's being a jerk. We're going to hold our ground. We're doing everything right. We're trying to help you, and you're trying to circumvent our system. So sometimes you just have to set, and I wouldn't tell him to tell the customer to piss off. I would just, like maybe we're not, and so Justin told him, maybe we're not the right fit for you. And the guy's like, what do you mean? And like Justin's like, well, we have a system and things that we do with our contractors, and we've been doing this for 10 years, and we've perfected this, and we have nothing but success. And we're trying to help you, and you want us to do something different that we don't normally would do. We're not trying to change our whole system to accommodate one customer. So I just don't think we're going to be the right fit. I can get you set up and get you the couple fans that you already sold on that roof, and then you need to go do something different. And that guy's, what do you mean? Then Justin said, man, his guard came down, and he got super nice. That was a super nice guy. I think maybe he just didn't realize he was doing it. So sometimes you just got to kind of set the record straight a little bit. Stand your ground. Same thing at a customer's house. You walk in. Don't just have them running you around the house. Take a little bit of, expertise, sit down, show that you're a little more credible, and then once they start to understand that, then they start opening up to you, and then you can win them over. If they're just bossing you around the whole time, you'll never make those sales. You have to take control of the situation.
Heck yeah. This is my first podcast back in like a very long time. I just have not had the time to handle this.
Right.
And I'm so happy that it was with you. This is like, I'm really happy with how this turned out. Where
Yes.
can people find more about you?
So they can get the book, the Wicked YouTube book, you can get that on Amazon. And then also you can just reach out to me at tom@theatticdepot.com. You have everything go to that. Or you can go to tomdecker.net. But mainly just through the Attic Depot, that's usually the best thing to do. And then get a hold of me there. I'll get all my information on the Attic Depot. I've got a little bio on our Attic Depot. So it's tom@theatticdepot.com.
And then how can people go about getting your sales training?
Same thing, just reach out to me through that, and so we're kind of in a transition. So I train a lot of like bigger companies, and then but what I'm going to do is start training individual. I'll train an individual. We're creating a whole platform, an online platform, and then so we can train an individual salesperson, or if they have a whole team, we can train the whole team, and we'll have different kind of memberships depending on what they're looking for. So I try to make it very accommodating for what they're looking for, because some people like, I just need some general sales tips. And it's something that I would kind of like to learn over the next year. So we're going to have some systems to where it kind of, this month you get this part of the training, and then the next month you get some more and some more and some more and some more. And by the time you get through 12 months, you're like an all-star. Because I like to have people take things kind of in incremental, bite-sized pieces versus giving them all too much at once, and then they don't know what to do, and they get confused, and the whole thing collapses. It's like a house of cards. And then we're going to start doing some live events and stuff. So they can reach me there, tom@theatticdepot.com. That goes straight to me. And then I can get some more information as we're kind of creating this stuff. And that's going to be just over the next few months. I pretty much have it almost done. I mean, always have the book, been doing the training, do big companies, but I'm going to start doing some smaller things as well. And I think that's really where I want to do. It's really where I want to go with my career, is training salespeople that are 20, 25, 30, 35 years old, or maybe they had a corporate job and they want to get into some sales. Because like I used to make $150,000 working at HP or something, and they laid me off. And now I need to make some good money, and I can't do that. I don't really have a skill set. And I'm like, are you a good talker? Yeah, I'm a pretty good communicator. And I'm like, okay, let me teach you sales, and then you can sell anything. You can definitely make that kind of money or more, and it's pretty easy to do. So I want to have some stuff for them as well. So different people, everybody's in a different place at a different point in their life. Some people, and even if they're good at sales, I guarantee I can make them better. And sometimes, you know what? When we do some stuff, they make me better too. That's why I like training. I like training really good salespeople as well, because they learn a lot from me. I'll pick up some things from them, and we all get better. It's actually a win-win.
And so,
I like doing this podcast. We kind of both get something out of it, and we both get better.
heck yeah. For people watching this in the future, what is your upcoming book going to be called?
I haven't named the name. So one of my thoughts was make them want it so bad they can taste it. So I thought that was kind of catchy. And then also how to sell anything to anybody. So I'm not sure which one I'm going to go with. I got to look at some different designs, but that same kind of mindset. So basically, I just want to win that customer over so bad that they really want the product or service, and then they don't have any other option but to buy it from you as the salesperson. So
I'm definitely
working on that. I've got the outline done, and to build it, I've got it all up here. I just got to get it on paper. This book here took me like 2 years, but really about a month to write it, actually, once I outlined everything that I wanted to put in it. But this one is more designed to kind of get the flavor that, hey, I'm not here to sell stuff to you and cram stuff down your throats. And then I don't do that like on our sales stuff that we do. If you want to do it, that's fine. If you don't, I'm not going to give you a lot of pressure. I don't have a bunch of salespeople who are going to call you 25 times a day. If you reach out, I'll give you some information, kind of let you know where we're at in the process. If I can help you, maybe we can do a Zoom call. I'm super easy to work with. I'm certainly not trying to just sell people anything.
Heck yeah. Well, I'm definitely going to be snagging a copy of that right after this.
Yes, yeah, it's a good book. It's actually good.
If you listen to this, make sure you write a review on Amazon.
That's right. Yeah, we got some great reviews. Everybody seems to love it, and it's just kind of, then we could take that and then we can kind of continue on from there. So it's a really great place to start to put things in perspective for salespeople.
Heck yeah. Tom, thank you so much.
All right, no problem. Thanks, Will. Thanks for having me.
Of course, thank you.
All right, thank you.